The National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has stated that, let me get their statement very clearly. The head of NAPTIP in Oyo State, Mr. Augustine Akanya, made the declaration on Wednesday, August 21st in Ibadan that he was speaking at a town hall meeting organized by Adinya Arise Foundation, and he said that the challenges of trafficking is being compounded by mothers who are involved in majority of the human trafficking cases that he has treated within the state. He said that the role of parents in human trafficking is enormous, and he advised that parents are playing major role. He said that it has become a cause of concern that many parents borrow money from financial institutions to support their children to travel. They are encouraging parents not to allow human trafficking in the state anymore. If you want to travel, go through the necessary documents and travel safely. But looking at this story, you cannot help but link it with the fact that some parents have seen their children as their source of livelihood. So that's why a parent would want to make the investments to ensure that the child gets into a better country or a country where they can be able to make money to send back home. Nima, I know you've taken a few stories of relocation gone wrong. I remember a few years back, you were always talking about how people will say they are going to go and work in Saudi Arabia. There was another Middle East, all these Middle Eastern countries where they would...
Libya, Oman.
They would say they are going under a different guise. And then the next thing you find out is their passport will be seized. It is actually sexual exploitation, sometimes even organ harvesting. And to now find that parents are actually complicit in this happening, and it's not just a thing of one particular region. We're hearing it concerning Oyo State. What's your opinion?
It's always been Oyo. Oyo is not...
it's not new.
It's not new. Oyo has been as old as time, and they believe in Oyo and Kwara that, any Larubawa country is abroad. It's emancipation. They believe that because the Arabic language is the language of Islam, that their children are going to see people closer to God. But they get to Oman, they don't find human rights laws existing for foreigners. They get over there, they have no embassy to run to. They get there and they are, they're not just trafficked, they are sold on a website, registered website. It is legit, they do those things there. It takes the help of God for you to get out. Even in Dubai where they have, some kind of laws. They have those websites existing. The stories have come out from, abuses in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia. Their stories have come out. So I've always said, relocating, it is with knowledge that you will relocate. It's not every country that they use passport and plane to get to. That's abroad. People have, distorted things. And we used to hear of, the Benin, Italy, the Calabar, Italy, all of those things, and think that such did not exist. The one in Oyo and Kwara has been, and Osun has been as old as time. Because they're not going to Italy, the family is not happening. Exactly. After a while, they don't hear from the relative. All of them just sit down. You see the girls do videos secretly of their abuses. And a friend of mine was a medical doctor in Saudi, and he was recounting how many black girls were abused. There was one with full fire-borne wounds all over her, dumped in the front of the hospital for help, and nobody claimed, no investigation followed. We'll have stories coming out from these countries of, people being pushed off buildings. You are working in a high-rise building as a maid, and your guy vex, he throw you down. Yes, wow. So yes, and we see our government doing as much as they can to inform our people of how dangerous it is to, to migrate to certain places. We come around and abuse them, that is the country good, and you're telling me to not go, as if it is better to go to fall inside fire than, to stay in the frying pan. I don't get it. You're choosing, you're saying no, when you're frustrated, you come out, you shout at government, and then you dare the devil. A friend, I did assist someone back from Libya in the past, and he sold his bakery. So you have a business.
sold his bakery to go to Libya.
And it was not about government. He had competition. So somebody had more money and invested in another bakery near his own, or a bigger one. Size. But by this time, you had your logistics in place. It's just that your place was not as big. And so you thought, okay, if I go and earn foreign currency, I'll have the kind of money he has to expand. Rather than do the expansion, you know what's funny? When we now get there, we wait to.
Yes.
You know, businesses don't actually grow as we think.
As rapidly as...
You know, so we wait, we build, we save. And to give the money quick value, what you earn there, you don't really invest there if you want to think about it. You bring it back home, so because it will have value here, and you compare the Naira to it, and then you now come and use it to do the big investment back home. So really, what are we saying? Are we really thinking through these things, you know, and the consequences that our people go through? What breaks my heart the most? I've stopped consuming certain things because of my mental health. So before, it used to be popping up. The agencies where people are allowed the WhatsApp, I used to, and then I say, nobody will vex me at home, I'll just be vexed. I'll be in a place.
You were carrying that matter. She was carrying that matter on her head. So almost every day on the show, she was always coming to talk about it.
It wasn't healthy anymore. So these days, you can send me a WhatsApp as concerned as, I've read it, but I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to feed it. I'm not in the place for it at the time, so I won't even look at it. Reason is because I need to help my
emotions to be okay before you can help another person get okay. I want to ask you concerning the involvement of parents. You know, because as a mother, you would be wondering, your job is to protect. So why would mothers traffic their children?
That's what I'm saying is that the government, well, we shouldn't blame the government totally. The mothers that even permit these kids to go on this kind of journey, knowing fully well, because I know most of the time they educate them, they tell them how these things run and all of that. I know that sometimes maybe some mothers, they have friends who their daughters have already gone, and the daughters are already sending, you know, money and everything, and those ones will be like, this is what my daughter did and all. So they will encourage their daughters to go and, you know, for things like that. My worry is that where the government needs to play is, these girls, they go to do passport for them. Most times, these girls are underage girls. When they do passport, is it that the government is not looking, you know, taking note of all of those things, number one. Then number two, they pass through immigrations before they get on the plane. So are we trying to say that
sometimes they don't go through plane? These are not plane people, though.
How do they go? They go by road.
They go by road.
Most of them is by road.
Then they take off from another country.
No, they
go by road.
That's illegal.
It's a life. Wow. There's a very high percentage of them dying on this journey. The states that this head of NAPTIP in Oyo State mentioned the countries where they've been having reports, because they brought back some girls, Lebanon, Oman, Libya, and other Middle Eastern countries. They said that Nigeria does not even have an embassy in Oman, and so there is no way you can get any form of reprieve if you find yourself stuck in that country and something bad happens to you. And yet, mothers in Oyo are borrowing money to send their children on a journey that might not have return. That's why we're discussing it now.
It's a bad talk with laughter. Like I always say, you understand? When God gives you Oroburuku, you still shocking with laughter. Because I just think that a lot of parents do not value the children they have. And it starts with the realization that it's a kind of terrain, it's a kind of tradition that I think they impose on you to give birth. I think you are being cajoled. If it's not directly imposition, you are being cajoled, you are being coerced. That, your mates are giving birth. How do you even know somebody that really wants to have a child? It starts from there. It starts from that education of, until we realize that some of these things are not compulsory before we begin to forge ahead and look better in the light of a better future. Because how do you explain a mother who went through the 9 months of pregnancy? Okay, today I'm saying my son is 2 years old. How do you expect me in another few years' time to begin to think of how to damage the boy's life? It's unheard of. So I would not even say that probably is the government. The government has little role to play. It starts with family. No, little role in the sense that if you don't go, you won't give government problem to how to look up for how to retrieve your child. I have a close friend whom I remember my friend. She slept in my house that day, and she was telling me about this. Oh, they said they'll go from Kano, and the way she portrayed it, I said, see, you see this Morocco Spain, my dear. I thought that point I played that is akuna that they are going to use you people to do. I don't know how to hide my mouth. I'm sorry. And I remember that then. Okay.
Sorry, I'll continue with your story. You see, I've heard that thing, Morocco Spain. I've not heard it in a long time. When I heard it when I was a teenager, and my mom was telling me that time that, oh, Morocco and Spain are not, they're not brothers and sisters. Let me take Pius. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning, Mario. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning. My sister, when I come and talk to TVC News, normally watch you, my Malayo and the rest program. Issue of outside country, travel outside country, my sister, is the economy of the country. Before we used to see Togo and Ghana shipping to Nigeria. Well, today now, you cannot see any developed country where the economy is okay. It will not come to Nigeria, no, unless it come for business. Because of our economy, okay, today now, look at currency. It's the poorest currency in the world. I can say me, I have business, I'm free. A year to a year, my sister. This way, you remember Wariko. As when I've used last, it's Wariko, 250. Now, this is now $150. Before, I didn't live where, because of the economy, where everything is cheap. But today now, because of the economy, where we work here, we just work for hand to mouth. But the economy is poor as well. I'm too big because I have my students, I cannot tell my company and move. Like that, because I cannot move again. If I tell my company, anything is patriot, I will regret.
Thank you so much, Pius. Pius has brought us to the part of government. When you were saying that government has small, in my head, I was looking at it that if your house is comfortable, you might not necessarily relocate from your house. But if your house is not comfortable, you might. But you were saying story about...
Like I was saying, the story of my friend, very close friend. We've been friends for over 14 years. So, and it was one of the things why I actually distanced myself from her. So having told me all the stories, and I said, see, you know what, you have 2 sewing machines. You had trained on being a tailor. I said, most of my outfits, like, okay, let's say we do a collaboration as your friend. Most of my outfits, I wear Nigerian made mostly. Because I'll say, how much will I begin to invest in one big international brand before they even recognize me? Do you understand? So I said, okay, we can start this collaboration. I'll pay you for it. I will be doing it gradually. Boom! I didn't say her again. Only for me to check Facebook like a few months later, and I saw her caption. I can't forget, enjoying the life of my head in Tripoli. And yes, if she's hearing me now, she'll know. And I saw that the background of where she took the picture was like a sardine shop, a provision store. In my head, I'm like, excuse my language, someone dancing me. Why can't you sell provision in Nigeria where you know that at least you can relate with your fellow people? And fast forward, so she didn't communicate. About 2 months later, I saw one gory... how do I put it now? One gory film on this thing. It was actually an adult X-rated on how they use them. 2 weeks after I saw that video, she called me and she said she started lamenting. They wanted to sell them. That the person who brought them over, I think there was their fee was supposed to be ₦1 million, but when they got there, the person said 1.6, and you know they have to work to pay that money first before they are even giving their passport or release. And I'm sorry, I told her, I do not. I'd rather use my money to help people who really need it, other than you who came to my house, who I told the business plan. I encourage you to just keep pushing this thing in fashion designing, because I believe that after hunger is clothes. Nobody will walk on the street naked, except you are, at least, you know that you're a Yaba left patient. So you will have prospects. But I just saw that fast money, laziness in her hands.
Fast money.
Do you understand? When she came back after 2 years, she came back to ground zero. As in ground zero.
So she
didn't even come back with anything.
She didn't come back with, and it took me 2 full years to be able to ask her about her experience. And the day she was actually sharing it, we were in my house again. And I was literally weeping for her. The way they went from Kano, they packed them like 11 or 12 of them inside one small car. And you know, there was one video that trended that like 16 people came out. It was true life. And she said, oh, she remembered that she got on board with some people from Kano and they had died after like few days. They got to this point. And I was just looking at her like this. So this relates back to some of these parents.
Yeah. But do you know if she gets the opportunity, she'll do it again?
She will do it again.
But I think
she will do it again.
Evelyn is still there. If Evelyn is still there, I'll take Evelyn's call. Evelyn has called from Ikorodu. Welcome to the show. Good morning, Evelyn.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. I wish to drop my opinion concerning this topic because I believe that there is no mother who has a valid information about what their children is going to go through and will allow them to go through that situation. Now, I just came back from UK and I saw how our children who has gone on the educational fees are suffering over that place. And I asked myself, why are these other children not in Nigeria to go through what our children are going through over there? And it goes back to our government, how they do not care for their children. They don't care for the youth of this country because if they do, no parent will sell his bakery or his house to pursue an unknown career over in another man's land. So please, we should not just sit down and say things that it looks as if we mother, we don't care for our children. We are only looking for a better future for these children. Unfortunately, they might not turn out what we expected because they do not have the valid information about what these children will eventually go through where you are sending them. So it is not an easy thing for you to borrow money for a child because you said when this child's life gets better, it will also be better for you. We need to do something.
Thank you so much, Madam Evelyn.
Right.
Thank you so much, Madam Evelyn. We'll take a quick break now. When we return, we'll continue with the story and highlight that there are some mothers who deliberately do this, who know what might happen, but they are willing to take the risk and would like to hear calls from those who've heard of those kind of mothers as well. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We're discussing the revelation, well, maybe not revelation, that we got from the Oyo State head of NAPTIP and talking about how some mothers are involved in taking loans from financial institutions to send their children. This is relocation for education is different from trafficking. This is trafficking. Trafficking is when you are aware that there might be, they are going to go and do...
There might be dangers.
Yes, it's a dangerous terrain. It's not a formal relocation. It's not a formal relocation. It's not that you're getting passport, you're getting visa. They're not processing visa or anything. They're taking them by bus via road to enter into some different areas. People might die. And the expected job is they will be a maid or, in most cases, they even know they will be sexually abused.
I want to defend the mothers. I don't believe that they know exactly what their kids will go to.
Some of them lie, yes. Some of the
apart from them being lied to, you know, you think that we are sending our kids to boarding school because we believe that when they come out, they become better persons. But if some of us see the video of what happens in boarding school, you go keep your picking for armpits. Not be even inside house. You go hide down inside bra. You go protect her. Because we really don't know. Somebody has gone and made a success of it. You know when Benin was trendy, people thought, no, every Benin girl was loose. Yeah. Their mothers didn't see. When the government made it a point of orientation to play the videos, to recount, give the girls stories.
Shivering inside the cold.
Mothers thought, is this what... You see families fighting families. Not be you can't carry my pikin talk, say, you go abroad, go wash. Now, plate you wash. You know, when people saw the outcome of what their kids were going through, there are still victims among these mothers who think this life is not easy. Some are in polygamous marriages. They can't even talk to their daddy. Daddy is not providing food. You are mother and father inside your marriage to your children. And the mother will say, okay, let me go and meet my brother and sister. Some will send their kids to Lagos to come and be washing plates in Bukas from this same Oyo. Yes, don't you see those stories? Yeah, so when you look at Buka and in Oyo and Buka in abroad, you will choose one. Yes, because that's the reality. And it's not just economic. We make victims of our vulnerable as Nigerians. Nigerians go abroad. Somebody sat in abroad there to collect money from them under the guise of admission and jobs. And stole all of their pounds and left them on the streets in London. Oh yeah, they never cross. Is this still Nigeria economy? So we know that we must change our mentality as a people and not just blame a set of people.
Not blaming the mothers.
Not blaming governments alone, not blaming the mothers alone. The circumstances are different. When I was growing up, I used to think what my mother used to say was a general thing until I saw some Auchi girls who actually were also willingly trafficking themselves, or boys willingly going. They will go as far as Ghana just to call it abroad. Whereas when we were growing up, it was a thing against my parents' values. I was 21 before I could spend holiday outside of my house. We never visited anybody or stayed in anybody's house. They covered their children like beds. Wood. That's how my parents, they will say, no, now wait, if I chop sand, my pikin chop sand. I drink gari, my pikin drink gari, better for me. They will cover. But when I grew up, I saw that it was different outside. People would do anything and their circumstances varied. You cannot generalize.
You're from Abuja. So sorry, Titi.
So I'm going to agree with Nima to a large extent in the sense that we don't have to blame our mothers, but some of the mothers are not educated. So their kids go there, lie to them,
most of them, and
tell them that this is it. You know, maybe if they have a friend, just like I mentioned earlier. I remember there was a story that was trending. This one, it was her friend that took her. There's an agent. There's always somebody that does all the processing and everything.
It's a business.
The agent, yes. So the agent took her. This country was India. This was, they harvested her organ. They removed one of her kidneys, and then they left one. And then when they caught the guy said, she can walk, she can actually function with only one kidney. She can function with that. Justifying the reason, like making it like, oh, it's okay for him to laugh. He stole her organ now. She didn't give it to him, you stole it. And then, you know, they had to now start thinking of how to bring her. But it was all over the news that time, and it was a very serious...
It's not one, you are stating this one.
So many.
I know so many. Personally.
Yeah,
I think we need to.
Yeah, so I think we need to start educating the mothers. You know, yeah, we educate the mothers and also the people, the girls, the boys that do all of these things, that go for all these things. It's all this fast money. Poverty is happening everywhere. It's everywhere. It's all over the world. But we need to be conscious of ourselves and make sure that we are taking good care of ourselves to avoid things like this.
All right, Emmanuel from Kano, welcome to the show. Emmanuel, are you there? Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Emmanuel. I'm calling from Kano. Quite an interesting topic you have. I would also like to tilt towards what Hajiya Nima was saying. So most times when we talk about human trafficking, we're always looking at it from the angle of whether from Nigeria to either an African country or European country. It happens a lot within Nigeria, even from the local place to a nearest urban city, you know. And I really wouldn't want to see it from the angle where people think parents are aging. Every parent wants the good and growth of their children, you know. And even within the Nigerian space, many parents have had to send their children or take their children from public government schools to private schools and paying heavily from their nose, not because they are waiting for their children to become their HTM, but they will look at the circumstance that, okay, even within Nigerian university, you say you want to go to the government university. Your child spends 8 years, 9 years, instead of the normal 4 years. Why won't you just add up that money and put them in a private, though very expensive school? If all spares, I repeat, if all spares were working and every ministry or parastatal is held accountable, we won't have all this mess we're having right now. You know, every parent, I still repeat, yes, we know there are minute parents who willingly, they know what is going to be happening there. They have friends who, their friends' children are there who have even told them XYZ had happened. But they will still want to do that and that's a mom will die or anything. But in fairness, every parent is even out to make their children comfortable because that is even the best thing you can do for your children. You are sending your children to school or buying shares on their behalf. It's not because you want them to help you. You might not even be there to enjoy that, but you are leaving this world knowing that at least you gave your children good education. You dropped some money for them. You gave them legacy, values of life. Whether they give you in turn, which sometimes they don't do even with these Gen Zs now, they'll tell you your own time don't pass, nothing concerns me. So parents shouldn't also take, government should take the blame. They should, yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for bringing us to government, because for me, I think that we can't take away the government's hat here. I liked the caller earlier who spoke about how people used to come from Ghana to, we had Ghanaian teachers when I was in primary school teaching in my school. People, even up until last year, majority of our tailors, our fashion designers, the tailors were from Ivory Coast. Yes. They were from, and many of them went back last year when the idea of when subsidy went and Naira was devalued. They felt like if I'm in my Ivory Coast what I'm earning from Nigeria is not worth sending there. The value of their money had gone higher than Nigeria, so they just went back home. I have many fashion designer business owners who lost all their tailors, who went back home because of the economy here. So if the economy here is good, if business is going well, if food is available, if your money has value in the market, do you really think that parents will be considering sending their children abroad? Maybe we should address the fact that there is poverty, and poverty has led to increase in number of people being trafficked, regardless of the risk they are willing to take it.
Yes, I don't think the apple will fall far from its tree, because yes, government has a blame. But in all of it, my own is the family unit, the functional family unit. There are a lot of things we dump on the neck of the government that even we are convinced that the government might not attend to it. And this government that it starts from choosing empathetic leaders. So it takes us back to our kind of electoral system. It takes us back to the kind of people, the kind of leaders we put in position to lead us. And when you now begin to talk about, okay, it's hard everywhere. People go to the UK and complain before they even get their feet to balance. I mean, since few days back, or few weeks back, let me say, at my perfume store, we've been looking for a cleaner. We had one who said, oh, she wanted to go and invest in a handcraft. She makes hair, so she left. And even when we're willing to pay the minimum wage, we are still not finding somebody who wants to clean. I mean, so sometimes it's like, but there's work now. We're not seeing the person that will do it. But people will keep saying there's no job. So what's the correlation? No matter how little. I think one of the things that we also grew up understanding was contentment. Yes, it's not everybody that wants that big money, as much as some people aspire for $500 million and this and that. But some just want to live in the space of their comfort, have the things that they can afford, the basics. One of my friends now used to make a prayer that may the basic not become luxury. I agree, that's why it falls on the government. But it's just like you saying that I decided to go and give birth in a private hospital when there is a government hospital. I decided, because I had my own conviction why I don't want to go to government. So it's the same thing like keeping your children here, weighing the prospects. Is it not better you keep a child here that you can monitor, you can talk to, other than the one that might not even call you in 3-6 months, and after like a year you're already giving up, maybe he's even dead. And our Yoruba people will say, so sometimes they are just in between. But I think that every parent, yes, education is good, but please, anywhere that your eye did not reach. Ibadan, I took my son to is because I have people in Ibadan. That if they say something happen, I can call 1 or 2, 5 people. Please help me run. I won't risk it. I won't. So we should stay within the limit of the risk we can contain.
Let's take Ade as our final caller on this topic. Ade from London, welcome to the show. So sorry we missed that.
So let me interpret for Rama's sake. My child lost, better say my child died, better say my child lost. Yeah, because child will lost, you will never have closure. You'll be looking for the child.
That's what she was saying. We'll take a quick break right now. The long and short of this show, the part discussing this trafficking, is because we just want to raise awareness, because we believe that genuinely most of the mothers and parents who are supporting this human trafficking, which is where people's children are taken to become sex slaves, organ donors without their own permission, and taken as slavery, just pure slavery generally, is what we're dealing with. And those are the ones we want you to be aware of, not the legal migration. So, of course, we want the government to do what they can, but we also want parents to be aware of what they are using their children to do. That's what we can take on this.
You have a call on you, or show you have work. Show them what is happening.
It's all over the